Well, good morning, everyone, and I hope you get a chance to read through today's report because I kind of put a longer section in there about what's going on with these ocean temperatures and its potential influence on the upcoming pattern. I really focused a lot on what was expected across the western United States, given that the West is going to be seeing a lot of heat, possibly some rapid onset drought here in the near term. We want to know what things look like in the longer term. I think this longer term pattern is going to have a lot to do with the strength of these trade winds and the continuation of La Nina, the fact that the Indian Ocean is in its what we call its negative Indian Ocean dipole phase, and I'm very concerned about the presence of the heat here and what it could potentially do to the jet stream later on this year. Because just thinking about how all of this stitches together, it could lead us toward what could be another very La Nina-like start to winter. But I have questions, as I brought up here, about how long that La Nina could last through winter. I'm worried that we could see a very quick fade of it. My evidence for that is very weak, but I just want to let you know that I'm going to be watching this carefully. Now, over the last several weeks, we have seen the ocean temperatures from July all the way through August really come right back down here to almost be a degree Celsius below normal. So that's where we've seen a lot of this colder water emerge, and that just tells you how strong these trade winds are. So that would be the point against my forecast. These stronger trade winds, should they just continue into fall and winter, will give us a La Nina dominated pattern going forward. And a lot of forecast groups have bit into this. You can see here this morning that the Bureau of Meteorology out of Australia, and trust me, they watch La Nina very carefully. They've upgraded from a watch to an alert for the La Nina. So this would be for their upcoming spring and summer, seeing this La Nina develop here. And I think we have to give this a lot of thought. My big question, again, is just, does this continue once we get toward the new year? And that's what I'm going to continue to research and try to study and understand. Okay, so where did last year's La Nina land us? Well, it gave us a Pacific jet that just targeted the northwest, and it soaked parts of the northern plains, leaving California extremely dry, Texas really dry, and pockets throughout the Midwest and Western Corn Belt, and plains very dry. And I focus in today's report a lot about California, given that it is right now the driest year on record for most of California. We even take a quick look at their reservoir levels as well. You can see here that Lake Shasta is at 36% and Orville's at 39%. And we're waiting on the rains to return in October. Now, if La Nina has its typical dominance on the pattern, I'd have to agree with what we get here from the CPC. So I'm going to show you how to get this. If you go to the cpc.incep.noaa.gov and click on the word 3 month right there, it actually takes you to their forecast model. And what I want to do here is I want to come down here to the 4.5 month outlook, and let's look at precipitation. If we kind of blow this up, you can see that this is a very typical La Nina forecast for winter. This is December, January, February, where we're drier across the southern tier of the U.S., also warmer here, but typically wetter in the northwest and an active Ohio River Valley storm track. I mean, that's La Nina to the T. So to see not only NOAA, but the National Multi-Model Ensemble and the European model also saying the same thing for this upcoming winter, means we got to watch this La Nina very, very carefully. So I wanted just to stress, read that in the report today. I think it's going to be an important component of this upcoming forecast. And tomorrow I'm going to turn my attention over toward what this potentially does to the start of the South American growing season. Okay, right now, though, we do have something to watch in the tropics. Late last night, the National Hurricane Center was watching very carefully the tropical storms that kind of erupted here in this part of the Caribbean, despite all of the really strong wind shear throughout the Caribbean. And there's concern that this could develop as it moves here toward the Bay of Campeche. We're also watching a wave coming off of Western Africa. Now, at this particular point, the National Hurricane Center has given this a 20% chance of developing here for the next 5 days. But the models are taking that, see it right here, and possibly pushing it back into southern Texas, where we just saw heavy rains from that other tropical disturbance. But these two maps here show you the next week's worth of precipitation on the left compared to normal, and on the right, you have week 2. We're watching heavier rains move out of southern Iowa into Missouri toward the mid-south today. We're going to be seeing this upper level trough coming through here into the upper Midwest. That's going to just settle here over this section of the country, bringing a lot of scattered showers. We also have these sagging fronts that are going to link up to the southwestern monsoon, possibly delivering some much needed rain to kind of break into the drought that's in the southern plains here. There are places that are drier in this pattern, as you can see here, here over the next week or so. But this is all due to a larger ridge that's building into the west in this kind of cutoff low that's going to sit right in this area, which pushes the fronts farther to the south. And the models keep that pattern around into week 2. Very similar forecast to yesterday, just keeping the wetter conditions here. Again, with the ridge coming into the west like this and the broader trough sitting here, you just get these fronts that sit in this area delivering the rainfall. I just want to make a point again. It's not as though the models have picked up on some big tropical system coming in here delivering rain. This is all just sitting on those sagging fronts. So where this will be important is when we look at the soil moisture maps as they evolve over the next few days. And I love that NASA made a change to their color bar. For those that are red-green colorblind, that red to green was a difficult map to look at, so they now switched it over to blue. It just kind of highlights here better where the soil moisture issues are. And I just want to point out the recent rains that came through here and are moving in through this region today. Notice where they missed parts of Kansas, southern Nebraska, a big section of central Iowa, and then northern parts here, even though I'm expecting better rains to come in here over the next couple of days. So this was an area that's been missed and is going to continue to struggle. I'll just highlight it right here given this upcoming pattern, because if you just take a look, that's an area that's not expected to see a lot of additional precipitation going forward. Okay, from there, let's take a look at the high-res NAM model. So this is the forecast through the day today, getting into tonight and in the overnight hours. So you can see where the heaviest rains are moving through Missouri toward the mid-south, the isolated storms that run up the east coast, and that little shortwave coming here into parts of the northern plains. Going into the day on Wednesday, here's Wednesday afternoon and evening. It really doesn't look too different, right? We just keep moving that rain farther to the south, and then we get all the way out here to Thursday midday and our front's fully established. It's after this point that this trough sits right here and spins for a while later on this weekend. So total accumulated precipitation from the high-res NAM, you're looking at it here. I put it in the report so you can take a closer look. And now what I want to do is kind of turn my attention to what these temperatures are going to do. Because we did see that the National Weather Service increased the coverage of excessive heat watches and warnings, primarily warnings here in the Columbia Basin, right here along the Cascades and down here in the part of the San Joaquin Valley in the Central Valley of California. And then we also have this region down here which still hangs on to the heat. But that is going to be fleeting. I'm talking about the heat that's right here, while the west sees long duration heat coming on. So here's today's high temperatures compared to normal, getting into Wednesday and Thursday. The front finally sags far enough to the south, but we'll see triple digits extending all the way here into the Columbia Basin. But getting into the weekend, we really kind of just paint the corners here with above normal temperatures, and much of the midsection of the country seeing normal to below normal temperatures as that upper level trough fully becomes established. And this is the first sustained break away from excessive heat that the southern plains has seen in a very long time. So how long does it last? Let's go right out here to the 5-day sliding window of temperature anomalies. I'll stop it right out here on the 21st through the 26th, and we'll just keep going toward the end of the month. And the models are advertising a pattern change at the beginning of September, but it's not really well established, and I covered it in last night's long range. But again, I just want to reiterate, one of the big points we're going to put in the Wednesday morning report is going to be about South America and what we expect the start of their wet season, the monsoon, to look like and for planting. So a lot to cover here soon, and I'll talk to you again in the morning. Thanks.